For thousands of years, the Sith Order represented the chaotic and brutal potential of the dark side. These were empires built on fear, armies of loyal followers, and the dark will of ambitious Sith Lords who each vied for control. Planets were cloaked in darkness, temples stood as monuments to Sith power, and the Sith themselves became symbols of conquest. But amid all their power and glory, a fatal flaw ran through the Order like poison in their veins: unbridled ambition. Rivalries among Sith Lords bred betrayal as each powerful Sith warlord looked to dethrone those above them. This relentless struggle for dominance weakened the Sith from within, making them vulnerable to those they sought to destroy, especially the Jedi. In time, the glory of the Sith Empire decayed into bitter infighting. Those once viewed as dark gods now stood as traitors to each other. Their unity fractured and their empires crumbled under the weight of their ambition. Sith history became synonymous with betrayal and self-destruction, so much so that even their greatest conquests could not hold against the rot within. Eventually, the Sith Empire collapsed, and the once dominant order lay in ruins. Out of these ashes emerged the Brotherhood of Darkness, an attempt to rebuild what had been lost. Skir Khan's Brotherhood aimed to bring unity by erasing the divisive ranks that had plagued the Sith for generations. All Sith were to be equals, powerful together. Yet in removing hierarchy, the Brotherhood also removed discipline. Instead of restoring the strength of the dark side, the Brotherhood dissolved into a gathering of powerful but aimless Force users, bound by little more than numbers. To their enemies, they were a threat. To those who understood the Sith's true power, they were a mere shadow of what they had been. Amid this diluted version of the Sith stood Darth Bane, a warrior who saw the Brotherhood's failures with brutal clarity. He understood that the Sith's inherent ambition could never be erased, but believed it could be channeled. He recognized that the unchecked rivalries and limitless ambitions that had once destroyed the Sith Empire were now repeating under Khan's leadership. To Bane, the answer was not in removing hierarchy, but in sharpening it to a fine edge. Thus, the Rule of Two was born, a master to wield the strength of the dark side and an apprentice to covet it. This way, power would transfer only when one became strong enough to take it, forcing each generation to strive towards ultimate strength. Bane's vision was to create a lineage of Sith more powerful than any the galaxy had ever seen, a dynasty bound to secrecy, discipline, and the relentless drive to succeed. But in securing the Sith's future, Bane also created a slow path to their destruction. Each Sith under the Rule of Two embodied a different piece of the grand vision, but together they built an empire that would one day fall to the weight of its own ambition. The lineage began with Darth Zana, Bane's apprentice and one of the first to embrace the power of cunning and manipulation. Under Bane's tutelage, Zana mastered deception, honing her strength in a way that would allow her to eventually challenge and kill her master. Zana was a testament to the Rule of Two's success. She had grown powerful enough to claim her master's mantle and continue the Sith legacy. Yet in embodying the Rule's power, she also introduced an unyielding conflict. Each apprentice was destined to turn on their master, and every master would ultimately fall. With Darth Cognis, the Rule of Two took on a new dimension of devotion. Cognis was zealously committed to Bane's doctrine, her belief in the Rule unshakable. For her, the Rule of Two was not merely a survival strategy, it was sacred, an iron law of the dark side itself. Cognis epitomized its orthodoxy and refused to compromise, even to apprentices who dared to question it. Through her, the Rule gained a fanatical edge, a rigidity that would define future Sith. Her adherence to secrecy and loyalty above all else created a lineage that was less about power alone and more about adherence to a legacy, a shadow stretching forward in time. Yet, as history continued, this rigidity itself became a problem. Darth Millennial, a gifted seer, would become the first to openly rebel against the Rule. With his precognitive abilities, Millennial envisioned a new Sith Order, one with followers and acolytes, a system that allowed for greater numbers and power. When he presented his vision to Darth Cognis, she responded with violence, attempting to kill him for what she saw as heresy. Millennial's survival and subsequent flight to Dromund Kaas, where he formed a dark religion that would evolve into the prophets of the dark side, underscored a flaw in the Rule. Its rigid secrecy and narrow hierarchy left no room for adaptation or evolution. This divergence showed that even among the Sith, loyalty to the doctrine could sometimes undermine the Order's potential. Darth Gravid would take his defiance even further. Convinced that the dark side's pure devotion would lead to the Sith's downfall, Gravid attempted to merge Sith and Jedi teachings, hoping to create a hybrid philosophy. To him, the light side offered a form of balance that might protect the Sith from their own destructiveness. His efforts, however, were met with ruin. His apprentice, Darth Gene, saw this deviation as a betrayal and madness. In a brutal confrontation, Gene killed Gravid, but not before he destroyed much of the Sith knowledge he had inherited. The aftermath left the Sith Order crippled, as Gravid's legacy set them back centuries, forcing future Sith to rebuild from a position of weakness. This act of rebellion wasn't just treachery, it was a complete fracturing of the legacy Bane had built. As the centuries passed, other Sith explored unique ways to expand their power. Darth Ramaj emerged in this period, driven by an insatiable thirst for scientific knowledge. Fascinated by Boda, a rare plant believed to enhance force sensitivity, he turned to experimentation instead of conquest. His obsessions led to both enlightenment and ruin. Ramaj's discoveries were recorded in a holocron, but they served as a cautionary tale. His work highlighted the potential of the dark side, but also revealed the restrictive nature of Bane's rule, an order that prioritized secrecy over scientific progress. Ramaj's pursuits showed how even knowledge could be a threat to the Sith's rigid structure. Darth Tenebrous would later explore a different approach, one of mathematical certainty. He viewed the dark side through the lens of science, believing in a prophecy of a perfected Sith born through eugenics and midi-chlorian manipulation. His theories, however, came to an abrupt end when his apprentice Darth Plagueis killed him. Tenebrous's downfall demonstrated the Rule of Two's brutal demand for survival, a requirement that often crushed visionaries beneath the ambitions of their apprentices. Plagueis, inheriting Tenebrous's theories, brought a new approach to the Sith's goals. Rather than direct conflict, he infiltrated the political sphere, laying the groundwork for a Sith empire hidden within the Republic itself. But Plagueis was not immune to the rule's curse. As his power grew, so did his apprentice's ambition. In the end, it was Darth Sidious who would betray and kill him, proving that the rule's promise of power came hand in hand with inevitable betrayal. Sidious, with his rise to Emperor, brought the Rule of Two to its peak. Through manipulation and ruthless strategy, he transformed the Republic into an empire, purged the Jedi, and claimed the galaxy. His achievement marked the fruition of Bane's vision, an empire ruled by a single Sith, unchallenged. Yet Sidious's triumph would unravel through his own choices. By taking on Darth Vader, a Sith whose anger and strength matched that of the greatest Sith, he had created a weapon he could not fully control. When confronted with the chance to save his son, Vader's love overcame his loyalty, and he struck down his master, ending the Rule of Two. The Rule of Two had indeed built an empire, but its principles, ambition, secrecy, betrayal, ensured its self-destruction. Each Sith contributed uniquely to the lineage, yet every step toward power also planted seeds of its downfall. From Bane to Vader, the Sith's grand vision became a cycle of ambition consuming itself. Bane's rule, which sought unity through strength, had instead forged a path where power could never be held for long, where every triumph bore the mark of future ruin. The legacy of Darth Bane's Rule of Two is one of tragic irony. This doctrine, designed to preserve the Sith, became their curse, a lineage so consumed by ambition that it could never escape its destiny. For in the shadows of their victories, each Sith reached for a power that would always remain just out of reach. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the dark legacy of the Sith. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay connected with our deep dives into Star Wars lore. Until next time, may the dark side be with you.